Morning, everybody. We're excited to have you today. My name is Guy Marion, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar entitled How Instapage Drove $30,000 in Revenue in Less Than 2 Months by Nurturing Stale Leads. Is everybody able to hear me? And we'll do a quick sound check. And it looks like we do have plenty of people hearing. And good question. And are we getting feedback? Yes, we are. Okay, good. We're good to go. So my name is Guy Marion. I'm the CMO and head of growth for Autopilot, and I'll be today's host. And I'm delighted to have special guests here today from our customer and partner Instapage. These guys are doing amazing things with Autopilot and automation, and have graciously agreed to share a fairly open book today, a lot of what they're doing internally through the full customer lifecycle. I would call them thought leaders and progressive power users of the platform. But before I get started, just a few housekeeping items. First of all, feel free to ask questions at any time during this presentation and demo today. We will be moderating questions throughout both GoToWebinar panel, which is over on your right-hand side there. Also, we'll be monitoring on Twitter, so if you want to, you can hashtag question with the hashtag nurturing. And if we don't get to your response today, we'll follow up with you afterwards. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and we will send a follow-up to the presentation with a link to the recording, which will be in Autopilot's Flight School. Also, there is a special offer from both Autopilot and Instapage that we'll be sharing at the end of this presentation, at the end of this demo. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight in to introduce our speakers. And first of all, we decided to introduce Stefano Mazzali, who's the Senior Marketing Operations Manager at Instapage. Stefano is the primary Autopilot user there. He's a former mechanical engineer in simulation software development and is an in-depth user of marketing automation, both in Autopilot and previously with HubSpot. It's great to have you today.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Great. I'm also excited to introduce Brandon Weaver, who is the Content Marketing Manager, all things content at Instapage. Brandon runs the content strategy, the content, the blog, also a past HubSpot user and Autopilot user, and has over 5 years of experience in startup marketing.
Yeah, thanks. It's fun to be here. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. And I should also note that it's a big day for Autopilot. We just launched our new proactive heads-up channel today, this morning, at 8 a.m. Pacific time. It's a new and subtle way to capture more leads straight off your site. We're already seeing great results on this across many, many customers, and it's relevant for today because it is a new way to capture leads and pull them into your nurture funnel, which we'll be talking about. So before we go any further, I'd also like to get to know the audience a little bit. We're going to pop a quick poll question here, which is, what is your level of experience with marketing automation? If you could just take a moment here to go ahead and fill this out. And we're seeing progress in progress. So far, we're getting a pretty even distribution. 22% have never used it. 33% less than 1 year, 29% 1 or 3 years, and 11%. I'll give you about 20 more seconds. While we're waiting, Stefano, you've been an advocate of marketing automation for some time. What do you enjoy about it at a high level? Like, why did you get into this particular area?
Sure. I mean, I've been in marketing automation for almost 4 years now. I think the thing that I enjoy the most is probably the fact that you can reach a large number of users with relatively low effort, so being able to scale operations very quickly, and basically being able to test different hypotheses using statistical methods in a very easy way.
Yeah, nice. So it brings some of your engineering together with your marketing communications.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's a nice combination on my end.
Cool. All right, so results from the poll are in, and it's about a third have used for less than 1 year, 28% 1 to 3 years, and 11% over 3 years. So a good range, I'd say, early to intermediate audience in terms of automation, which is perfect. It's how we've geared today. So moving right along here, I would like to turn over this to Brandon to give us an introduction to what Instapage is, and take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Instapage is a landing page software company. I mean, that's what we focus on. That's what we dedicate our working lives to, and we believe that every promotion deserves a page. And you can create pages from scratch, or we have over 100 templates like lead gen, webinar, mobile app, just a variety of different templates. But not only to build the pages, we can also quickly build them, A/B test, and integrate those pages, such as autopilot with marketing automation, email marketing, CRMs, webinars. And we focus on teams and agencies because we see that's the primary customer base that can really focus on collaborating and building these pages and being able to promote our offers to their audience. We have 3 offices. Our headquarters is in San Francisco here, but we also have 2 European offices in Poland and Romania. We're very profitable. We're a bootstrapped company with that global presence that I mentioned, and we have over 250,000 users creating over 2,000 landing pages every single day. So, as we move to the next slide here, like I said, Instapage is a software as a service company with 3 pricing tiers. Each plan provides unlimited benefits, and when I say that, I mean unlimited pages, unlimited visitors, and unlimited publishing domains. Professional and premium users have the more advanced functionality, such as unlimited A/B testing, custom code, branded notifications, custom fonts, a bunch of different things. And we see, especially with the custom code and the branded email notifications, the teams and agencies use those advanced features to, use their custom font for their brand because they know that brand awareness is so important. Being able to test different pages for all of their different offers because, again, we believe that every promotion deserves its own page. We offer a 30-day free trial with no credit required, and our upsell and retention effort driven by premium features and those services that I mentioned earlier. But more recently, nurturing and automation has become such a key part of our growth and retention strategy, and I'll let Stefano talk more about that.
Great, thanks. Stefano, tell us a little bit about how you and how Instapage moved into using automation and sort of where you came from before you were doing that.
Sure. I mean, it's. I think that the big transition here came about like 1 year ago when well, it was Q3 2015 when we switched from kind of like a one-off campaign approach to a more integrated marketing approach. So like that's when we started using like Segment together with like Autopilot, and at that point, Segment became our main data hub tool, and we started using Autopilot as our main automation tool. And the 2 tools go really well together. By the way, they are very well integrated. And they are pretty much seamless. So the switch here was basically from a one-off approach, so like single campaigns that we were sending off to a more integrated framework, so like from lead nurturing, very like top of the funnel, to personalized trials for personalized onboarding, depending on like on our audience, and customer onboarding, so like dedicated onboarding for each of our like customer plans, and as well like loyalty building, so meaning customer satisfaction, retention, understanding like NPS and so forth. So yeah, so this kind of on a high level, our transition, like in terms of like our marketing stack, obviously Segment represents our like main data hub. We track events in our app and as well on our website through any activities that our users do on their landing pages, from like publishing to like integrating with the form and so forth. And we sync all these details and behavior specifics with Autopilot via Segment, basically. So we also, in terms of analytics, all the data in Segment is sent to both HEAP and Amplitude. HEAP has been proven very beneficial for us, especially for our product development team, in the sense that they are able to iterate really fast on like new features, and we use also to basically drill down a little deeper and like basically use some advanced funnel and retention features as well.
And Stefano, one thing I like about the way you work is you really make the most of sending events into Segment as well, and then tracking that back in Heap from within Autopilot. So you're actually constantly looking at conversion funnels and pathways from Autopilot using those two in conjunction.
Totally, yeah, and the two like they work well also with our analytics tool. We can see any of these events in analytics, analyzing which steps of the funnel have the biggest drop-offs, where there is the biggest opportunity for improvement, and we've been striving to build like a completely integrated platform, sending data both ways.
And I think one thing you guys have done well is taking that incremental approach, where you've started actually very simple. Over time, I think about a year ago what you were doing, and you've added more you're syncing more data sources. As a result, you're getting some of what we're going to show today, which is sort of a good transition to take us a little bit through at a level of sort of your lead life cycle, which will provide some context for the nurture journey that you're going to go into today.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is on a high level. We have like kind of three different stages in our life cycle. So we have like a high level, top of the funnel lead nurturing section, where we basically nurture leads who maybe have downloaded like a specific gated content, they've subscribed to our blog, or maybe they register for a specific webinar. Once these leads, they become more, in the sense that they become more interested in the product, they sign up for a free trial. We have a 30 days free trial, and in the free trial we have like a dedicated onboarding based on their like on what kind of leads they are, what is their role, and like what basically their specific segment. And as they proceed toward purchase, we have like also like a specific like customer onboarding, which is basically where we want to make sure that the customer is satisfied and is going to stay with us over time. So.
Nice. Yeah, and I think, I mean, looking at the conversation the last couple of days, you do a really nice job of bringing new subscribers into your funnel, through nurturing and using an approach that really positions you guys as what you are, the thought leaders in the space, driving them into trials, activating the trialists, introducing them as customers, then making them successful. And I think you've done a great job with setting that up so far. So let's go ahead and take a look here at a little background story. And before we do, we're going to go ahead and launch off a second poll here. Again, to get to know the audience a little bit more, I'm curious to know what type of nurturing campaigns are your companies currently running. And we're going to give you a quick drop down here. If you could take 30 seconds here to fill this out, we'll get a sense of how much of the customer life cycle is being nurtured by our attendees today. And while that's going on as well, so Stefano, where did you start with Autopilot? Like, what was the first journey you built as a company?
Yeah, I mean, I think the very first was probably before my time, when I joined Instapage in December. So like we started using Autopilot like 2 months before that. I think it's the very first campaign was kind of a simple drip campaign based on for our like free trial onboarding.
Right.
So like it's I think it was put together really quickly in a sense, but like it kind of it already was providing like very good like feedback to.
Funny, because this is a common question we get asked by customers and new members of the automation community, which is where to start. And you did that nice job of sort of getting a structure and a framework in place, a simple drip nurture for a new trialist, but in doing so, you got a baseline, and from started building on top of it. And that's always a good tip, is start simple and evolve from there.
Yeah.
Once you've gotten that sort of company buy-in. All right, let's take a look. So 63% of the audience are doing one-time campaigns and email ads. 42% are doing lead nurturing through the life cycle. 25% is automated free trials or journeys. 39% activating cold leads, and 12% no idea. Interesting. Good. So nurturing, one-offs, and reactivation are actually the most widely used on this webinar today, which I suppose makes sense given that we're here.
Nice.
All right, so let's go ahead and move forward here to let's transition into a little bit about why you started nurturing specifically. And I think there is a bit of a funny story here.
Yeah, totally. So basically, on top of our regular nurture campaigns, I mean, we started doing like also some reactivation campaigns over time. Basically, upon switching from like MailChimp, which used to be our old like email provider, basically we had about like 55,000 qualified leads, which signed up for updates in the past, so like basically opted in for content. It's in the past, meaning like the past 2 years, and but apparently they did not open any of the temporary email blasts that we send around like one of this year. So basically, these people basically never sign up for our product, and were completely unaware of what Instapage was about and like what the potential could be like in terms of like using us. So initially we thought that there was no value in having like cold 55,000 leads in our database, and we seriously consider like deleting them completely. But we decided to go for a reactivation campaign. So like so it's to send them like relevant content to re-engage or like attend a product or sign up for a free trial to like to see like if there was some potential there. So we did not have any information on their content preferences, so like we were somehow like blind on that side. But nevertheless, we started like this journey with the purpose of reactivating them to basically with the purpose of like subscribing them or like or having like a product demo overall. So basically, working with the autopilot team, we were able to structure this journey, which covers about like 2 months, and the initial target in terms of like ARR was exactly $12,000 in about 8 weeks. So I think Guy in the slide will highlight the main factor of this nurturing strategy, and soon we'll get started with our like dive too.
Got it. Yeah. So essentially, the gauntlet was thrown, right? It's delete 55,000 contacts or get at least 12K of ARR out of there, which is pretty funny. So discussed this in the last few days, and sort of we distilled down the steps you took to build an effective nurture journey, and distill that down to, first of all, you've developed, and you're obviously the experts in building landing pages that convert or lead magnets. Convert website visits and traffic into known contacts with email addresses that you can in turn nurture, i.e. bring into your funnel. You then certainly have created these interesting lead follow-up journeys in their own right, which is to do more than simply when someone downloads a content or subscribes to your blog, add them into nurture. You actually did a specific follow-up tied to that particular asset. The third thing you've done is created a qualification journey, which is basically a way for you to streamline and standardize the common triggers that qualify a new lead into journey. Then, of course, we're going to go today into your actual journey itself and design it out. And you've taken a really interesting approach of having a personalized and adaptive structure so that users can show particular areas of interest, and then from there you can accelerate them into calls to action that are actual and appropriate. Then fifth, you have a terrific content strategy and program. That's one of the big differentiators, I would say, around the marketing on the autopilot side. On Instapage's side. So we'll dive into that, and then lastly, look at some of your results too. So we'll start off with Brandon, and Brandon, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about best practices for building a landing page that converts.
Yeah, thanks. So this page we're looking at here is our biggest converting lead magnet that we have. And when I say lead magnet, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a downloadable asset, something gated behind a form. And on the Instapage blog, we have 9 different categories, so we have 9 different lead magnets, one for each category on the blog. And like I said, the one you see here is for the conversion optimization category. It's kind of like our catch-all category. Excuse me. Once a visitor converts on this page, or any of our lead magnet pages for that matter, they're sent to a thank you page immediately. and then a thank you email with the content included. And for this one specifically, this page, it's always best practice to message match your headline. And when I say message match, if you're doing a AdWords ad, and for this headline, a good message match would be something like increase conversions in the headline of the ad, because when they come to this landing page, they'll see triple your landing page conversions, something like that. More conversions on the landing page, something like that would be a good message match headline. The next thing would be, optimize your button or your forms with personalized action. And this one right here is I want more conversions. So I want more is the personalization part of it. And this one, it's not a form, but when you click it, it's a pop-up form with 3 fields: first name, last name, and email. And so it's always best to have personalized copy to, put yourself in the visitor's shoes of what are they going to do when they click on this button and just submit or download it. What are you going to do to get that more conversions?
I like that. So you've tested that against using the word sign up for a free trial, for example?
Sign up for a free trial, not for this page specifically, but something more specific and personalized for the actual content on the page or what they're going to get.
Right, right.
So we see a lot of pages with like submit or just download, and it's just boring, blah. It's like it's not really action oriented.
Right.
So that's why we want personalized copy, specific. Another thing is include white space, and white space doesn't have to be the color white. It just has to be like empty space on the page. So just give every element on the page room to breathe. So like this one, for example, you can see above and below the book, there's empty space to let the copy on the left and the picture kind of breathe a little bit and to draw more attention to itself. The next thing is, adding a relevant image to whatever that content is. This one specifically is 35 techniques to triple your conversions. So that's what the content is. When you download or when you convert on this page, that's the download you get. That is the cover page for that content. So a relevant image tells them what they're going to be downloading. It's not just someone's headshot or something like that. It's very specific to the offer. And then the last thing would be to have short paragraphs and like bulleted copy. So people's attention spans are shrinking shorter and shorter with every passing day. So people don't want to read long blocks of copy paragraphs. They want to read quick headlines, subheadlines. Like this bulleted copy here. It's very quick, action oriented. They can quickly skim it to see if it's worth downloading or not, and then they can obviously click on that button to convert on the form.
And how much content should they add here? And there's actually quite a lot of text on this for a landing page. Is that designed to actually someone could scan this and by itself? This is core content.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Those bullets right there are teaser text, I like to call it, because they are specific in terms of like copywriting lessons, calls to action tips, endorsement techniques. So they are kind of broad in a sense, but they're kind of specific at the same time. And the numbers on the side of it give you exactly how many tips for each of those categories are in the offer itself. So it's kind of a balance. I mean, people expect to scroll nowadays, so it's it doesn't have to be everything above the fold anymore. People expect to scroll down the page to see what else is on there, to see if there's a button where they can download something.
Got it. So the infinity of scrolling works, or at least long scroll works, is not an impact.
Right.
Is it still critical to have your call to action above the fold and at the bottom as well?
It kind of depends on the offer, and again, how long the page is too. This one, we have both top and bottom, but that's also in the top right. You can see it as well. Just kind of, it's a kind of a contrast. We have the blue button there in the center, and then the clear button in the top right. Both have the same goal. They'll get the same content. And it's also good to have non-competing CTAs, so landing pages should have one goal. So the one goal of this page is to download that ebook.
Great. There's actually a couple questions coming through. Do you have dynamic keyword headlines where you can auto-match the headline to the AdWords, so the referring AdWord keyword that the group, for example, that you're referring from?
We haven't tested that yet, at least on these lead magnet pages. We do have a feature with our software where you can kind of dynamically insert keywords for AdWords in certain things, but we don't use it as much. But that's something we can definitely test for sure, because one thing we always like to say is always A/B test. So just never be satisfied with your conversion rate.
That was actually one of the things we liked most about Annie Flushman, actually, our demand, who runs demand at Autopilot. She tested out all the different landing page builders out there, and one of the things we really loved was the ease of use as well as the A/B testing that Instapage offers. A couple more questions are flowing through. One is, what are your thoughts on the use of video with landing pages?
Yeah, it kind of depends on, again, what the offer is. I mean, you can choose, in terms of multimedia, you can choose video or you can have a GIF to describe the process or your product or service. It just kind of depends on, again, A/B testing. You can have variation A be the video, variation B could be the GIF. So, and see how they perform against each other. And also, take into account, page load speed, because the heavier a picture is on the page, the heavier a GIF would be, the slower, or the quality of the page suffers. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well.
And one more question of interest is color. Any idea of the button colors and how these affect conversion?
Yeah, that's one of the most common kind of questions we get about A/B testing, and it's all about choosing contrasting colors. You can find a bunch of different resources online in terms of like the color wheel. Just kind of vary. It doesn't have to be like a very pleasing color to the eye. It just has to be contrasting to draw attention to it. So if your page is like background blue, for example, a bright orange button would definitely stand out to get your visitor's attention to convert on the offer. That's just one example.
Great. Cool. Well, listen, there's lots more. There's actually quite a lot of questions flowing through, and we're going to have to keep this going, but we can come back at the end with any more. So let's go to the next step. So first of all, you've got a great landing page set up. You're attracting customers to your site with content or with ads. You're then converting them into known users and capturing their email address. Or, like we launched today, there's proactive heads up now you can throw as well and capture your email addresses. Next question is, and something you guys have done really interestingly is you've actually created an actual follow-up journey specifically specific to each asset, in which you're essentially accelerating motivated leads with some touches and steps. Stefano, why don't you take us in there and show us this in your instance, if you don't mind? I'm going to have you go over and do that.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of at a high level, just as we're jumping in there, what's the point here?
Yeah. So after someone downloads some gated content such as this, the idea here is basically to follow up immediately with to understand if they are interested in they are willing to buy right away, or they are willing to basically attend the product demo. What is their degree of distinguish between hotter and colder leads overall. So it's that is the main goal in this case. So here is the journey that we used in this case. It's fairly simple overall. The idea is that basically someone downloads a piece of content and
so it completes the form we were just looking at a second ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Completes that form, and basically after they receive a thank you email where the gated content is contained, and after 1 day we check basically if they have become.
Can you show us that email just out of interest?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. This is here basically the gated content is presented here, and we also offer some related content which might interest the user, and basically we see if they are interested in a product demo right away.
Okay.
And it seems like let's see if I can close this. So here we perform a couple of checks in this journey if someone has received multiple follow-up emails or not. So some of these lists are built with that purpose specifically. But the idea here is basically to segment out the customers who are willing to buy right away or upgrade, which typically we see are about 2-5% of total. Contacts want to a product demo first, so they attend a webinar invite, and then they are funneled into a specific webinar follow-up, which we can see here. People register for webinar, and then contacts instead were not interested in either, and need basically, and they're basically channel toward nurturing like right away.
Got it. So if I could summarize, and this is really nice. So you basically check and you offer everybody who's downloaded this piece of content to join a webinar, and then from there you check and find out if they're already in nurture. If they are, you don't send them anything further. If they're not, you find out if they're paying. If they are paying, then you send them this little upsell email. Do you mind just taking a look at that one? I think that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah, totally. It's let's see.
So this is going to customers who've just downloaded this, as opposed to non-customers.
Yeah, specifically here is like we actually target like customers who are on our basic plan, which don't have the specific feature that we were promoting in the lead magnet. So like it's related to the content of the lead magnet. So we try always to come up with a promotion or like a feature that is relevant to what they downloaded, and just then that it can be like kind of complement what they don't have yet, and just maybe so this kind of made sense in considering what they downloaded like in the first place.
Got it. All right, and then you run them through some checks, and at the end you trigger them into you add them to a list to send them over to your nurture program.
Correct. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's keep moving along and jump to the next one, because I want to save some of our energies for diving into your full nurture journey here. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself the presenter again. Real quick here, and let's see here. Just while I'm pulling that back here, and while that's going through, there we go. It's coming back to me now. There we go. Sorry, everybody. Okay, next is so you've created this lead follow-up, and now you go to a third step, and this is really interesting. I've seen a few customers doing this in different ways. You've definitely been thorough with this, and it's creating this qualification journey, right? So essentially, you need a central place to trigger different lead sources into your nurturing program. For example, someone who just downloaded that previous ebook and passed through their post-download follow-up. You also have the ability to suppress contacts you don't want to add in a nurture and be scalable as you create more assets, and as you create more campaigns, you can essentially trigger new sources into your nurture without having to sort of pollute your main nurturing journey.
Correct. Yeah. So we just have kind of like one point of entry for our main like nurturing journey. So like so in that way it's easier to like just make it scalable, and it's just a center place to trigger all different like lead sources. We can basically add new triggers as as they come along, and also we can like suppress any contacts that we don't want like in nurture here as well. So so obviously this also we can, as we use different like nurturing journeys for different like with different content for specific segments, we have different triggers in place here that we use. In this case, in this specific case for the reactivation campaign, since we didn't have any information on the past content references, we just use a more generic nurturing campaign, which we're gonna go into now. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to jump into the main show here, which is the actual design of your nurture journey. And maybe before we go back into your instance of autopilot, if I might summarize it. So you've basically, if I could summarize what you've told me in the last few days, you are establishing your credibility as a trusted source of information, and you've done that through having a series of top-of-funnel content designed for very, very early stage researchers, which if they engage, you're sending them into middle of funnel sort of accelerated content that's related to the first and starting to become more focused on Instapage. And if they engage that even further, then you're sending them calls to action. Is that pretty much a good summary?
Correct. Yeah. That's kind of the high level structure of our reactivation campaign, and I'm looking forward to show you a bit like in autopilot how this works.
Yeah, let's go see it. Take us away, Stefano.
Yeah.
And while you're pulling that up here, there are a few questions flowing through, so I will read some of these while you pull us up here. Actually, you know what? Let's go through this, and we'll come back to these questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that works. And so you can see my screen. Basically, the overall like journey is structured like among like 3 tiers. So like there is a top level, which is a top of the funnel tier, where we basically send like high level like thought leadership guides, which are basically for people who are completely unaware of like the landing page space and like what we can do and just what is a landing page, what is A/B testing. So basically this is divided by topic, and so we, in the specific case of the reactivation campaign, we selected a few topics which are among the most popular, and we just kind of like see which one we're getting the most traction. So if someone basically here, if I can guide you through the main journeys, someone starts the campaign here on the bottom left. We have like a feature where we can suppress some of our like competitor emails. We see if they started like some of like nurturing campaigns before, and we exclude them in case. And then basically they start through the first year of like.
It looks like you also check and see if they're paying.
Yes.
And what's that segment event you're firing there?
The segment event is like to tell our analytics that like people have started the nurturing, so like we can basically do like funnel analysis on that.
So you can do some attribution to the trial from the to this nurture from segment.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So like the first step for example, in this case is like we send them like what is a landing page email that basically links to our like main guides. So like we have a guide which is pretty comprehensive about everything that you can do with a landing page, and so these emails are actually pretty easy to build also in autopilot and like fully responsive, so they're pretty nice tool to use. Basically after a contact received this email, we check after about 5 days if they sign up for a trial or not. If they do, they get added into a list, and also we receive a message directly in Slack, so like company-wise, so we know exactly who these contacts have like have signed up for a trial, so we can like basically celebrate for that.
Oh, so you guys do like throw a pizza party every time that Slack message comes through?
Pretty much, yeah.
Or a high five at least?
Just to come up with like some like some crazy GIF like files and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. And
yeah, we have a few of those too. just a few.
Nice. So if someone has not become a free trial, basically we check again if they are paying, and just and then we check on the status of the email. So like if they actually so basically if they have not clicked on the email, we send them back with another like top of the funnel email. If they clicked instead, then they descend into the second tier of the journey, so basically where we send them more like specific information about that topic. So like here we specifically send them like either like case studies or like testimonials, or like something more specific that where they can see that feature in action. So for example here, related to what is a landing page, we send them case studies where one of our users basically have sold 10,000 copies of their ebooks using one of our pages, so like they can see immediately how to put their knowledge into action. So
awesome. So, and this is also happening in an accelerated fashion, right? You've only waited 5 days and you're sending them this because of the fact they've taken interest in your prior content.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. If they're not, then we consider them still belonging to the first tier, and so they will be sent another high-level email with some completely different topic. And this topic, obviously, they can be personalized if we have some information about their prior like content preferences. But so further down, going further down the journey, basically, if someone we repeat pretty much the same process after 3 days. So like if someone like sign up after 3 days, they get added to a list, and then they get added to Slack, and basically we check on the status of their email. If they've clicked on the email, then they progress to the lower tier of the journey. If they not, they get pushed back into the upper tier, which is
okay. So you're basically at this point, after another 3 days, if they've engaged second time on your second related nurture email, now you're sending them all the way to the bottom, like a call to action type email. Is that right?
Exactly. So which is our tier 3, which is like very like action related. So like it's like in this case we send them directly an invitation to a product demo, which is like a webinar in this case, but we also have different call to actions. So like some of them they can be like an offer, some of them they open up an invitation to our like social channels or a free trial directly and so forth. So there's a combination of them.
You know, while we're at it, so a question came through: when do follow-ups become too much? Can you talk about the frequency of follow-ups, the amount of follow-ups, as well as the length of the total drip? So sort of how much you've done with this so far, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah, it's like we have about this drips campaign covers about like 2 months, and then I think the point here is understanding is if someone has any level of interest or not, in the sense like if we can, even if someone hasn't clicked on an email, but maybe they on the bottom of the funnel email, but they click on some of the middle tiers, we can assume that they are somehow still interested in our emails, and so we can send them more targeted content about that specific topic. But obviously, if someone has never clicked on any emails or like here, but then we can obviously assume that they're completely uninterested and then like take a break.
And Michael, to that question, this is Guy speaking. We've done some testing on this ourselves and talked to some customers. We have split nurture journeys into 5-day, 10-day, and 15-day wait steps between communications, and actually, surprisingly, have not seen anything significantly different between click rates, open rates, unsubscribe rates, or even how many of them converted into the action that you're looking for, whether it's a trial sign up or a customer purchase, based on those 3 different intervals. So there's going to be more data that we're going to share with this over time, but at a high level so far, it basically seems it's more of a brand preference from a company perspective of whether you engage on a 5 to 10-day basis. But I would say on average across most of our customers, the typical wait time would be sort of in the 7-day to 10-day wait period.
Makes sense. Yeah. In our case, I think it's we tested like 5 and 7 days. So like it's 5 has been working okay, so like I think we prefer like a shorter cycle anyway. So yeah.
Great. So Stefano, so you've basically described to us you have top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel emails. You have ways of excluding those who sign up for trials or buy, because at that point this nurture journey has achieved its purpose. And you've told us you basically repeat this sort of 3-level engagement strategy for 2 months. What happens at the end of this journey?
Right. So like in terms of like here it depends really. Like if we see any kind of like engagement at some point, then we engage some of these leads into another nurturing campaign, which is more tailored on the specific content that they express interest in. So like somebody like click on a user case about like A/B testing, then we send them more information about case histories in A/B testing specifically, and see if they get any traction on that. If they've never expressed any, if they've never clicked or opened any emails in any of these topics, then we can either like try a total different range of topics, so like basically see if there is anything else where they might be interested in, or completely like take a break and just can just.
And this is something you shared both in your trial journey and here, is that you ask these questions about their interests, right, in an email, and based on the UTM tags you've added to those URLs, you're able to actually start to enrich the profile of that user and their interests, and what you're saying is you're triggering them into related, sort of much more specific nurture tracks for someone who's interested in, for example, PPC versus SEO as a demand gen topic.
Exactly, yeah, because in that case, I mean, we found that is a very good source of it's a very reliable source of interest, because it's people basically opt into these content buckets themselves, and therefore they're the first one who are is a strong indicator of interest and engagement overall. So.
Great. Well, this is awesome. What a amazing journey. It's pretty inspiring, actually. So
yeah, well, thank you guys to with the whole team that helped to put this together. So it's been a great collaboration.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump back to Brandon here. So I'm going to go ahead and take back presenter rights here, and we're going to go back to the next point around obviously if within automation if the automation is creating the fire that's driving these conversions, then the fuel for that fire is, of course, having great content, which is something that, as we've said, you guys are well known for. So, Brandon, maybe you could take us a little bit into the content strategy here and how you actually develop and the types of assets you've generated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to nurture those prospects that Stefano was talking about, we create a selection of top-of-funnel content, and that could be high-level content such as content guides, thought leadership pieces, a bunch of different things. Middle of the funnel content, mainly case studies and blog articles, and then bottom of the funnel content, which had an explicit CTA for a webinar or a sign-up free trial, for example. And there was over a 60-day period for top of funnel content, 12 topics, with each of those emails being spaced out 5 days apart. But with in addition to emails, we used targeted in-app messages, heads up on our website, which typically perform much better in terms of click-through rates. If the user didn't respond to our in-app messages, then we would send an email. And the content was selected based on historical performance, meaning, for each topic, we selected the top performing content on our blog based on the converted to free trial, which was, defined and told to us in Google Analytics. The blog post typically needed to have a minimum amount of visitors as well. And when it made more sense, we used brand new content like long-form SEO guides, like the What is a Landing Page guide that Stefano mentioned earlier, which maybe didn't have the historical data we were looking for or that we hoped, but it was better fitted to the topic at hand. But it's more important to note that the topics were selected based on our customer personas and our own blog categories as well, those 9 lead magnets that I mentioned earlier. So we had no previous information on what the audience was interested in, but at that point we were just trying to get, cover all bases really.
Have you generated any new content that's specifically been built as part of any of your nurturing journeys? Is that something that comes up between you both?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some of the new content that we used in some of the activation was brand new, that was developed for, but we haven't really seen any. I don't know if.
Yeah, probably not anything specific to that question. But I mean, certainly something to look at for the future for sure.
So really what you're doing is you're building structure around your overall content strategy and reusing that in a way where you're it's just another channel for distributing your content essentially.
Yeah, because I mean a lot of the content that we built, those lead magnets especially, all of those were kind of repackaged from a bunch of different blog articles. Mm-hmm. So those were kind of the starting point to mm-hmm. build these gated assets. And then like those SEO, those long form guides, those are all research-driven, heavy, long-form pieces. So those kind of contribute as well. But for the most part, these downloadable assets are, repackaged information. You don't need to reinvent the wheel type stuff. It's all just stuff you've already done.
Got it. We do have a couple questions flowing through here, so maybe we'll pull one or two of these up. So one question that was interesting is, what's the research showing about HTML template email versus basic email text? Maybe do you guys want to give a point on that? Like when do you use HTML, when do you use text, and how do they perform relative to one another?
I mean, in terms of the actual content itself, we try and keep whether it's a thank you email or a lead nurturing email, we try and keep it obviously informational, but we try to keep it conversational as well, not be too strict in terms of the tone of voice, but keep it short as well, because people are busy. We want to keep the actual content length short and sweet, and give them that relevant information as well.
Yeah, I think it depends also like what kind of if we are promoting like one specific action or more than one, because like overall, obviously, as a template, maybe they perform better in terms of like overall click-through rate, but it's the basic text emails, then they are more focused maybe on one single action, than that single URL has definitely like a higher click rate itself. So like it depends on your purpose and what you're trying to promote, I think.
Right. I mean, I would say across the autopilot customers, it really does vary also by industry as well as use case. So, for example, we've got customers in the development tool space, and developers really don't want to read branded emails on a regular basis, but text-based emails that offer proactive assistance based on areas that they're struggling within the application can be highly effective targeted emails that, of course, a text-based approach makes more sense with. On the flip side, a welcome email when a company is first engaged by a user is an opportunity to sort of share some of the branding and the personality of that company. And so in those scenarios, we see HTML templated emails that perform extremely well across all different customer bases. So it does vary based on the use case and the situation. In general, text-based emails sent at the right time, from what we've seen, are some of the highest performing of all assets out there. From an email perspective. And then in terms of heads up, the in-app messaging, we're typically seeing response rates that are about 2 to 4x higher in an in-app or an on-site message relative to a similarly sent email at the same time as well. So thanks, Brandon. That was a really good rundown on the content strategy and the thinking that you guys do into how to draw large numbers of users to Instapage through tons of great content you're doing across all your channels: video, blog, long-form SEO, ebooks, guides. It's definitely great stuff you're doing over there. So we look and learn, frankly, on a regular basis. So thanks for sharing that. So let's go to the last point here, since we're coming up to the hour almost. And Stefano, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the results that you drove from putting in place this 6-stage nurture program.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we were pleasantly surprised by the results, actually, because like we were like. Basically, the campaign itself performed like very well and just completely exceeded like our expectations. So the campaign basically generated like over like $30,000 in new ARR in 8 weeks. So which was like 2.5 times the initial target of 12,000 ARR, so like we were pretty happy about that.
And how did you know that? How did you figure that out?
Right, so like basically how we calculated this, we basically analyzed, both the list of people who sign up after enrolling to the journey, because we track sign up date via segment using like as a track event, and also people who perform subscription upgraded that we track in segment as well. Including the exact date when they do that. So basically, we use like a smart segment which track people who enroll into the journey and basically subscribed after that. Like, and we send them. We track that actually in a simple like Google Sheet, like which was connected to Autopilot via Zapier.
So it was literally people who started this journey and entered into a trial was one smart segment.
Yeah.
Another one was people who entered this journey and then purchased from this.
Yeah. So there were like two different smart segments in this case, and basically thanks. And then basically we did like some attribution, making sure like most of these people, they actually subscribed immediately after signing up. Some of them, they actually obviously interacted with some other content after signing up in that case. So most of them could be attributed as a last touch point for like some of the content in this reactivation journey. And if they interacted with some other content in the onboarding, then we use like a linear model to basically weight the revenue in that sense. So yeah, overall, I mean, we exceeded like our expectation, and also our conversion rate was between free and paid was actually almost 6 times higher than our baseline, which means that basically contacts which are already aware of what they can achieve with our product, they can go through onboarding much faster and basically convert like at a higher pace as well. So it's
so that's basically saying that your contacts who've been through nurturing first and then signed up for a trial converted into customers at a 6 times higher rate than those who just come cold off the web and sign up for a trial to buy.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty compelling. So what does that tell you about either those customers or the performance of that program?
Right. I mean, I think it might be like a combination of the content that they interacted, or the kind of so some people, they obviously need to see some of the relevant use cases in front of them to be able to apply them. So like I think some of them was.
And I would say it sort of nicely supports common industry research. It shows that only 25% of people who engage a company or sign up for a trial or become a lead are actually ready to buy today. 75% of them have interest, but probably not today. And what the research shows is typically within 12 months, about half of those who aren't today will be ready to engage in some form. And I think what this is showing us here is, those who have warmed up have already completed a lot of their research through your nurturing. By the time they engage, these are really, really ready customers.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and I think also we can definitely improve on this in the future. Like once the more if through our like new opt-ins, emails that we send in in-app messages, we can actually get some like content preference for the users, even tailor even more some of this like content during reactivation that we use. So like it's the more content that we tailor content we use, I think the more we'll drive up these conversion rates.
Excellent. Well, we'll just outline some quick takeaways from today, if I might, from everything that you guys have shown us. One, it's improve your customer experience and conversion rates using specific nurture journeys at the appropriate time in your customer's life cycle. 2 is grow your contact database quickly with optimized landing pages. 3, invite new subscribers to attend a webinar or other types of offerings after they download some content. Create your qualification journey to centralize and scale your triggers and suppression lists. Build credibility and drive conversion with this multi-tiered nurturing journey that has accelerators for interested parties or takes them to other topics if they aren't showing interest. And then lastly, further personalizing your nurturing with pre-qualified leads up front, either capturing more interest or providing further specific content. Yeah, you've dropped some serious nuggets here, both today and in the days leading up beforehand. So that's pretty awesome. I want to make sure I get in here that we've, since we're up to the hour here, we've got a special offer for any attendees today. You can get 50% off your first month or 10% off your first year of Instapage. Just email help@instapage.com and include the hashtag lead nurturing in your text. You can also get 50% off your first 2 months with Autopilot if you sign up and then enter the AP Webinar-2016. So we'll just leave that in the background. We're up to the hour here, but Stefano, I just wanted to say thank you very much for everything you've done, not just today, but in terms of sharing insights and being open book, because you're helping advance us all.
Well, thank you for having me, and like I'm really happy to share this. It's my pleasure.
And Brandon, thank you also for sharing some of your best practices and tips that make us all better at the content we're developing and the conversion we're driving.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we try and educate every marketer out there in just terms of like increasing your conversion rate and building landing pages. So it's a pleasure to be here as well.
Great. And to the audience, thanks for lending us your hour. We hope you found something beneficial. Like I said, there will be a follow-up email with a link to the recording from today. And sorry we didn't have time for more questions, but we can follow up with some afterwards as well. Thanks again, and have a good Thursday in this first week of August.